Hello, welcome back. I'm Dr. Garrett Hallweg. I'm a psychiatrist in downtown Honolulu. And I'm here today to talk to you about the mind, specifically how to drive the mind so that it changes the brain into optimum mental health and wellness. So the mind exists in 5 states of consciousness or awareness. There are higher order states like beliefs and thoughts and ideas. There are lower order states like sensations and desires, and both influence our behaviors. Let's see how. Our 5 senses give us information about reality around us and help us to make choices. Likewise, our desires contribute to impulse or intention to act with a behavior. Now, the lower order states we share with animals, and these exert a bottom-up influence. Let me show you what I mean. We might have passion for children, and that may cause us to make a career choice to become a teacher without any idea of what it's like to be a teacher. Likewise, we might have irritability or anger, and that could influence a behavior toward a spouse. And this behavior ruins the relationship, but it's opposite of the belief that we have about how to get along with someone. And how about desires like hunger? Well, people choose to eat a big meal all the time, even when they are not hungry. But you're more likely to eat when you feel a desire for hunger. So there's many hormone chemical messengers of the brain that can arouse these desires. But the will, the mind makes choices regarding the behavior. These lower order states, the sensations and desires, they can create a bottom-up influence on our choices. And those choices that we make can influence our thoughts and beliefs. This is called a bottom-up influence. Let's see an example of this. You might think of a God-given good natural desire for sex, and it is chosen to be expressed through an act of pornography. And through a process of fantasy, masturbation, and habituation, the behavior will fundamentally change the ideas about what is sex or the belief about a woman's true nature. Now, these virtual interactions replace real interactions. So the man made the virtual world in his image, but God made the natural world in his image. So uniquely, humans are made in the image of God with divine attributes like beliefs and ideas. And based on our beliefs about what is a good relationship that we can choose, caring, patience, communication, these are the necessary choices to build up a relationship. And we can act against the influence of anger. Now, this is a top-down influence. So, based on a true idea of what it takes to be a teacher, we can choose our career path instead of choosing solely on the emotion of passion for kids. So, when higher order states of consciousness run our behaviors, there is a top-down influence on sensations and our desires. Let's look at our pornography user when he encounters a real woman. He realizes they are complex. They are more than just sexual parts. And women don't just sit around and wait for sex like his pornography in the virtual world shows him. So false beliefs and ideas are in conflict from the bottom-up influence of his virtual experiences of pornography and the behavior that he chooses to express. Now, in treatment, we would discuss reliable beliefs and ideas to replace his stinking thinking. And once replaced, the reliable ideas and beliefs influence the behaviors. Then those behaviors influence sensations and desires. So a replacement belief that we might talk about is women are more than sexual objects, or an idea that we might replace is if I want to have a relationship with women, I need to talk to women. A behavior might be to hang out or share conversation, understand who they are. And this might produce sensations that he feels fulfilled instead of guilty. And it might create desires to get to know more about his new friend who's a woman, instead of to use the woman for her sexual parts for his own needs. So thoughts and beliefs can be false. They need to be tested to learn the truth about our situations, about the reality around us. That brings us to a discussion on reality testing. So we've been talking about the 5 states of consciousness. We've been talking about the influence of higher order states like beliefs, thoughts, and ideas on behaviors, which these higher order states are uniquely human. They're different than any other animal. And we've been talking about the influence of the lower order states on behaviors, which is how animals operate. Mostly they're just responding or reacting to life as it happens to them. And if we base our choices on passion or anger, we see how these choices can be unreliable, not trustworthy. We are behaving like an animal. However, if we make choices on false beliefs or false ideas, these too can be unreliable, not trustworthy choices. Our mind operates in the natural world. God's creation is our reality, experienced by our mind. Our situation, our reality is experienced by these 5 states of the mind. Our mind is an awareness of God's reality. We live in God's world. We explore the world of reality through our 5 senses: hear, see, touch, smell, taste, known as sentience or qualia. We know that something like grass is green because everywhere we see grass, it is green. So we know that we know that we know that we know that grass is green. It's really easy to know that truth. Even time is only real by our awareness. So our watch makes us aware of 24 segments of a day, but true reality of a day is known by our awareness of daylight turning to darkness and then turning back to daylight. Same is true for months with the moon or harvest planting seasons over the year on a solar cycle. So we have an awareness it is Christmas time. Let's look at another way that reality of time works. So let's say I have a belief that I need a different job. And this is a belief because I don't know if it's true or not. Maybe the job that I'm in is better than any out there, but that's my belief. So I believe it to be true. And my idea is that I'm going to send out my resume. I'm going to look at job listings. My choice is to interview. And finally, I make a choice to accept one of these offers. Only when your situation of your reality changes does the reality of that belief come to fruition. When you're going to a new job location with different coworkers and the awareness of a different boss, a different paycheck, only then will you know if you made the right choice, because over many days of doing this, positive or negative sensations coming from the situation, coming from the reality that you find yourself in, is going to reinforce whether that was a true belief or not. So COVID has created a phenomenon where people's awareness of every day being the same, like Groundhog Day, feels like there's no real passage of time. This is this situation. Now, truth is real. Truth is a real thing. And inside that circle of truth is the truth statement, grass is green. Outside of that circle is the false statement, grass is purple. Much to Mark Hume or Immanuel Kant's chagrin, truth can be known even when we cannot hear, see, touch, smell, taste many truths. This is our God-given reality testing mechanism. So we explore reality with our mind. when reality coincides with truth, we can be confident our belief is reliable to act on. So a belief is something between 51 and 99% true. So if the Steelers get a first round draft pick and I just have a lot of confidence in the fact that they're going to win the Super Bowl, I might start at 65%. But then as they start losing games during the season, that drops below 51%, and I don't believe it. So it becomes unbelief. So beliefs come from many different places: wish or worry, imagination, inference, hope, tradition, and intuition. Beliefs are not observed directly by the senses. However, we can confidently act on true beliefs. Even Immanuel Kant would not step in front of a bus, even though he says it can't be known if it can't be known without our senses. But thoughts and ideas are a state of our minds exploring the match between truth and reality. So when there is a match, we are confident to make a choice. Even Immanuel Kant wouldn't step in front of a bus, and we all have to operate in life and make these choices. So if truth and reality do not match, our idea is unreliable. Thoughts come from observations and experience about reality, and wisdom is passed down from generation to generation through books, or prior to books, oral tradition. And this brings about some ideas: inference, reason, logic. This has brought about ideas from truths. And this process is known as reality testing, this matching of truth in our situation. Reality testing provides a rational trust to make reliable choices with confidence. Our mind drives our brain and body to maneuver and manipulate in this reality that we live in of time, space, and matter. So we can explore reality to find reliable truths, but this can be time-consuming, costly, or even painful at times. So there's an easier way: inter-knowledge, knowing truth, an awareness of truth through our beliefs and thoughts. And there is no requirement for certainty. We just need adequate grounds or reasons. So unlike the circle of truth, the statement is either inside and true or outside and not true. But knowledge is something we can act on with confidence. It brushes up against truth, and we do have to do our due diligence in certifying or validating the source of the knowledge. But once we have done that, then we can act with confidence on that knowledge. Add one more level of complexity, which is the spiritual realm. So our choices can be influenced by the Spirit, the Holy Spirit, or our fleshly desires. The world, through our culture, and Satan are opposing with pride, greed, lust. Now, an interesting observation about God's reality is something like math or logic or morality. Well, they exist whether we interact with them or not. So 1 + 1 is always 2, even if we are not aware of it, or even if we behave as if it isn't so. There is holy, sacred value to life, gender, sex, covenant marriage, family, whether we behave like there is or not. We may acknowledge this fact or want to be aware of it. However, making choices like they are not sacred, such as abortion or sexual unrestraint, well, this doesn't make their sacredness less true. Now, we can test drive and see how this works. Let's take the historical belief. I have a belief that George Washington was the first president of the United States, and I wasn't there. My parents weren't there, my grandparents weren't there, and I could talk to people who talk to people, or I could rely on knowledge from books with a reliable chain of evidence. And I could have confidence that George Washington was the first president of the United States. Same thing goes with money or fiat currency. Its reliability is dependent because a government maintains its value by parties engaging in money exchange, an agreement on the money's value for goods and services. In this way, we can understand the way things are known and reliably act upon them for any belief or any idea. So we could take our beliefs about information or cuisine or justice or political or historical beliefs or beliefs about death or near-death experiences, even miracles, prayer, or God. Likewise, we could reality test out our thoughts or ideas about law, about forgiveness, gratitude, money, even property, or marriage, or a company like Google, which is made into truth by merging the idea of Google into reality. Electrons or gravity can be reality tested in the same way. So in the world of ideas, we use reality testing to find truth about things not directly observed. Reality testing is how we know if claims of the politician, of the priest, of the scientist, or an internet page are true. So does it make sense? Is it verifiable? Is there a chain of evidence? Is it important? Is it relevant? If it's not, I don't want to waste time. So reality testing informs us to confidently formulate our worldview. Now, many people follow the direction of a leader or book without engaging in reality testing or the reality testing mechanism of the mind. So let's see how that works out for them. If we ignore the God-given reality testing mechanism, it looks something like this. So it's blind faith. Imagine we have blind faith in astrology. Blind faith because we've ignored the reality testing mechanism of the mind. Okay, so in fact, many people avoid aspects of their reality or their situation by escaping in alcohol, drugs, or just busying themselves or entertaining themselves to death. So the sensations from the reality are too painful to merge with the truth, or they never use the knowledge available to them. The Bible is available on the internet, readily available with truth, yet people don't access it or apply it or use it in their lives. So if we get back to our example about astrology, I might have a belief in astrology. I might have a blind faith belief in astrology. And I might have an idea from that I need to read my horoscope, which says today is a bad day to go to work. So my choice based on that idea is to not go to work. And over time, my awareness of my situation or my reality is that my coworkers are angry at me, I'm fired from my job, I don't get a paycheck, and my sensations are sad or ashamed. I might have a desire to make things right with my boss, to get my job back, or seek out something more reliable than astrology to believe in. This is the same thing that happens all the time when I interact with people who say, well, my 8th grade science teacher said we came from apes, so I have blind faith in evolution. I believe it's true. Or likewise, Christians who say, my pastor said creation is true. What you believe matters. Look into Margaret Sanger and her ideas about eugenics. Look up the human zoo and the ensuing false beliefs about social Darwinism. See, it turns out that from the goo to the zoo to you is not true. We are not evolving up. Mutations are causing devolving down. But let's look at the example of making choices with reality testing. Now, add this reality testing mechanism back in. Imagine you feel sick and you see the doctor, and you have a belief that, wait, doctors are out for my best interest. They're here to help me. And so your ideas about microbiology, about the germ theory, about chemistry, how how chemicals interact, and pharmacology, a basic idea about how antibiotics work. So you make a choice based on those good beliefs, on those true ideas, a choice to take an antibiotic that was correctly prescribed for an infection by the doctor. And over time, your awareness of your situation, about your reality, is that you feel well. You don't even have any signs of the infection anymore, and you feel grateful. It gives you desires that you want to learn more about how to prevent infections. So the reality testing is the antidote to postmodern relativism, to a post-truth society. In fact, I get patients all the time that come in and say, oh, I don't want modern medicines. I just smoke pot because it's natural. Well, you can do what you want, but here is the grand scheme of our mind interacting in the world, and testing ideas through this reality testing gives you reliable confidence to operate in the world. And so you can test out ideas like a financial budget or portion size for meals. You can test out beliefs like a savings plan or a nutrition plan. The mind is a gift that allows you to operate and maneuver in your dominion with confidence and intentionality. The mind operates in reality, discovering truth to arrive at understanding reliable choices to act on. Now, what's the opposite of that? The opposite is that our thoughts and ideas are the end result of random chance events. Why would they be reliable? Instead, our own reality testing mechanism proves we have God attributes. We are made in the image of God, who has a mind. Now let's have some fun. Let's learn how to drive your mind to cultivate new sensations and create new desires. What if we wanted to change our sensations from anger, sadness, or anxiety to new sensations of joy, peace, and hope through the renewing of our mind, to make a choice of love? See, many people think love is a sensation, thanks to Disney movies, but love is actually a choice. We choose to love others, and it comes from a belief in the one who first loved us. There is no fear of judgment in that kind of love. And when you choose that love, watch your situation change. Watch your reality transform. So what if we wanted to change our fleshly desires from pride, greed, and lust to new desires to be good, gentle, kind, loyal, patient, well-mannered through a right spirit within us? Watch the transformation of your body, your situation change. Now, imagine you are going to take a trip by airplane. I want you to think about observing your emotions. So think about being at the airport, the awareness of your current situations. You see the planes, you feel the pressure not to be late. TSA touches you and your stuff. They ask you for your COVID test. What are you feeling right now? What are your sensations? Well, I would imagine they would be anxiety. You'd be feeling anxious. And this bottom-up influence sets in from our lower states of consciousness, of sensations and desires. And it's the same program that animals run on. And so it drives a desire to seek safety, to run, to head to the hills, to get out of there. It may influence a choice to cancel the trip, or that may choose to influence a belief that flying is not safe, or an idea, I shouldn't travel by plane. This is irrational, because travel by car is far more dangerous than travel by plane. So instead of letting the emotions drive, let's focus on the mind to drive the thoughts where you want to go, where you want the brain to go, instead of driving off the cliff. When you feel anxious at the airport, observe that emotion. Observe that sensation of anxiety. When you feel anxious, use your internal dialogue. Use self-talk. Self-talk can motivate and mobilize rather than paralyze by emotions. So let's use a top-down approach and switch to your higher order states of consciousness, like beliefs and thoughts, correct beliefs and thoughts, true beliefs and thoughts, to influence your choices. And then those choices will influence your sensations and desires. Get outside of your own experience. Think more about others and less about yourself. So if we focus on others, if we have a belief, I can help others, like this family. I mean, it's just a belief because we don't know if we can help them or not, but hey, I have a belief that I can help them. So it might lead to ideas. Use ideas like, I can get through this. I've been through worse. Just a little more to go. This family has it far more difficult than me. And then make a choice. Make a choice for kind acts to help them. This will produce sensations of joy or desire for having more compassion for others. This man was a former vice president of user growth for Facebook, and he admits that his team created tools that are currently ripping apart the social fabric of how society works, because they destroy civil discourse, cooperation. They replace it with misinformation and mistruth. And now we are addicted to our personal electronic devices. Instead of being present and aware of the moment and the people in your space that you're sharing your reality with, well, we are locked onto our phones. Being more present creates a focused, calm mind. And culture provides too much stimulus, too much information coming in through media. So many healthy people use filters to limit the influence of culture, the world, Satan. These filters are programs censoring content for your computer, or hey, put away your phone, or even delete your Facebook account. Jesus said, if you look on a woman with lust, you've already had sex with her in your mind. So operate from the belief, if I don't look at half-naked girls, I won't want to have sex with said half-naked girls. Use your mind for practical concerns like obesity. Let's take advertisements like commercials, which is basically hypnosis. People ask me if I believe in hypnosis. Yeah, of course I do. Corporations wouldn't spend billions of dollars on advertisement if it didn't work. But not in the way that you think. Many people think that hypnosis is like a stage act where people act like a chicken, but true hypnosis is just repetitive suggestions entering our consciousness or our awareness through the lower order states of sensations or desires. So you see a scantily clad female holding a burger, and that influences your desires like hunger, libido, companionship, popularity, acceptance, or pleasure. Monkey see, monkey do. Instead, try a top-down effect for food that starts with a belief, food is medicine, or an idea, I need to eat the best fuel for my brain and body. If you get stuck on a certain sensation, try mindfulness. Direct your focus to the 5 primary senses. Drive your mind away from the current brain sensations. See, the brain is like a train station. A thought might enter, your focus might enter into your mind, but then that train will leave the station. It's just a matter of time. So for the moment that it's there, shift it. Change that focus to the here and now. You might go to the kitchen and get a piece of lime and squeeze it into your mouth and try to write out what that tastes like, or listen to a relaxing song, or write down what the sun feels like on your back. Now, meditation is another form of this, and this is a cardiologist named Herbert Benson. He taught focus training, which is a type of meditation, medical meditation. And it really involves getting a point of focus, like scripture. I like maybe be still, stop striving, and know that I am God. Now, during that time of 10 to 20 minutes while you're listening to nature sounds or a symphony, and you're thinking on that point of focus to be still, stop striving, and know that He is God, during that time, something might pop into your brain. Oh, I got to pick up my dry cleaning. And you just say to yourself, you let it go. You say, this is not the time to think about this. I'm going to train myself to focus on my point of focus. Those are the only two things that he found mattered in meditation. Now, SEAL training gives us another important insight into the positive self-talk, because the Marines, they looked at why a farm boy from Iowa can get through SEALs training, but someone from San Diego who has an Olympic qualifying time for swimming can't get through. Why can this farm boy that's never even seen the ocean get through, but this guy who seems to be in great shape cannot? And positive self-talk was one of those factors. So let's look at what that means. Monitor your internal dialogue. So not only are we monitoring our sensations like anxiety, but we're going to monitor the self-talk to use a top-down influence to change that anxiety. And so what does that internal dialogue that creates anxiety look like? Well, it may come in the form of past hurt, not dealing with your past, your history. And it may sound like, I feel anxious because of what I've done. It's the unforgivable deception. Or, I'm just bad. That's the perpetrator deception. Instead, replace with, I am forgiven. And what about the victim-dependent role? Well, this sounds like, I feel anxious because of what has happened to me. Poor me, I'm put upon pity potty. Instead, replace that with, I can forgive others. And what about the anxiety produced from future uncertainty? Well, what does that sound like? And how do we replace it with trust, with trusting in the future, in what will come? Well, future uncertainty sounds like, if I just work harder, I can control everything. Instead, replace that with, I am taking the next step in the present. Or what about this one from future uncertainty that produces anxiety? Oh, I can take shortcuts. It won't hurt anything. Nobody will find out. Replace that with, I cannot know the future, but I will accept it as it comes. Now, how about the anxiety from fortune telling? This is a common one in relationships, or mind reading. And it sounds like this. The internal dialogue sounds something like this. Oh, she doesn't like me. Instead, try replacing that with, I can ask her about her feelings or to clarify something that she said. Try this one. Have kind thoughts. Like, I really like this or that about her. And do that 5 times as much as any negative thought. How about gratitude thoughts? I'm thankful for her delicious cooking. Or a compassion thought. I know it must be difficult for her to take care of her parents. Or a joyful thought. I would like to celebrate her passing her exam with going on a hike or spending time with her. Now, automatic negative thoughts are part of these things that you have to destroy in getting anxiety and depression out of your life. My previous boss said, be an anteater and destroy all these ants. Most of them aren't even true. Most of them, you have to test them out. And what I say is opt out. So use opt or open positive thoughts to counter ants, automatic negative thoughts. So what do these automatic negative thoughts sound like? Well, they sound like this. I'm not doing that. I can't do that. I don't know, and I don't care to find out. Or I'll do it later. I'm above this. I shouldn't have to do this. I shouldn't have to put up with this. These are all automatic negative thoughts. So instead, replace them with things like, I need to do it now. Or I need to ask questions and find out. Or if I do this, then what is likely to result? I need help. I need a structure. I need a system. I need some disciplines. I need to submit to someone or something to help me get on track or stay on track. I need to think about how my actions impact those around me. If you do this in a top-down effect, you can impact depression. You can change the sensations that you're feeling. Now, we learn trust or not to trust very early on. How do we gain confidence to make a choice or act on something or behave in a certain way? Well, we learn trust as early as babies. I mean, with food and comforting. And so with neglect, we have doubt in place of our basic trust. Trust fuels our behaviors. We all have needs like food, safety, shelter, or love. And these needs give the opportunity for trust. So you can develop trust. You can have a reasonable faith in something through your needs. I need to eat, and I believe Olive Tree Cafe in Kahala prepares healthy, safe food. Well, my need for food, through that, I trust the Olive Tree is a reliable provider of food. And so, over time, when I exercise a choice based on that belief that they provide healthy, safe food and a thought that, wow, their menu looks good, and so I trust them, I order the shawarma, well, that produces a satisfied sensation. I feel satisfied and I have a desire to take a nap. And over time, when I repeat this, it reinforces that. And this involves many people to get my need for food met. In fact, I talk with the owner, Stephen, and I talk with the staff, and I tell them how much I appreciate what they do. And that, in turn, makes them more excited about preparing the food, about providing for that need. This is a compassion exercise. Now, in life, sometimes bad things happen to us outside of our control. Our internal dialogue is especially important with suffering. So take the example of you have to give this small child a vaccine, or you tell them, hey, it's time to go to bed. So when our wants are not met and we have suffering, either real or perceived, we may have a belief like a good God doesn't allow suffering. And that might lead to an idea, I know better than God. I could teach God how to be God. Which might lead to distrust. It might lead us to reject or ignore God, which leads to sensations of anger or desires to rebel. So these are false beliefs, false ideas that lead to problematic choices and disastrous sensations and desires. Instead, Jesus guaranteed following him will bring suffering and persecution in your life. So the Bible suggests more suffering, more endurance. Take on suffering as the reality of the Christian walk. So when the wants are not met, when you have real suffering, you can rely on a true belief. Human partial knowing cannot know an all-knowing mind of God. His plan, his time, his realm. And that leads to an idea that God has an ultimate purpose in suffering to draw me close to him. So I trust, I keep trying, I have endurance, and that gives me gratitude. That gives me a desire for mercy to show it towards others. Without danger, there's no courage. Without obstacles, there's no perseverance. Without delay and tribulation, there's no patience. Without adversity, there's no character. If you have suffering, that builds gratitude, compassion, mercy, and grace. These things are cultivated through suffering. What you believe matters. So imagine for a minute if my car broke down on the west side of Oahu, and let's say it's 2 a.m., and these guys come down the street. Does it matter that they just came out of a Bible study? Of course it matters. And it would matter to you too. So be egalitarian with all humans. All humans are sacred. All humans have value. Treat them all with respect. But be elitist with ideas, because all ideas are not reliable. All ideas are not equal. And reliable beliefs matter. So you can make good choices and maneuver through life to get the optimum mental health and wellness.